Hey everybody, welcome back. Sorry again, I had to go across the counter to turn on the camera. So today we are making shepherd's pie. People think, well, shepherd's pie, doesn't that sound a little complicated? Four baking potatoes, roughly about a medium in size. I just salted the water, brought it to boiling, boiled it until it fell off a meat fork once I stuck it in there. That's how you can tell when it's done. And I currently have some ground beef cooking on the stovetop. Typically they use ground lamb, but lamb is kind of hard to find unless you go to a specialty store or maybe a local butcher might have some. But for today we're using ground beef. It's about 85% lean. So there's not a whole lot of fat that renders off, and if you do have some fat that renders off, just drain it, put the meat back into the pan. So while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and work on the mashed potatoes. So for the mashed potatoes, I'm going to move this a little bit closer with my trivet. I've already drained them. So right now, we're going to add about 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of butter. Again, if you have a dairy allergy, you can use dairy-free butter. Same thing with the milk and the cheese that I'm going to be adding to this. So even though I've already salted the water, I'm going to put just a little bit more salt, maybe about 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon. I just eyeball it. I don't really measure. That's just me. I just add flavoring to taste. I'm going to do about the same thing with the black pepper. I'm just going to eyeball it real quick, maybe about 1/8 of a teaspoon, a little bit less than the salt. Now, and I'm running out of this, it is the Italian seasoning. This here I got from, what's that store, Lidl? I think Aldi also has it. You can find it just about anywhere, but if you're pinching for money, definitely go to Lidl or Aldi for this. It's the same quality. So let's see, I don't want to add too much and I put too much in my hand, so I'd say maybe about 1/2 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon is good. You can always add 1/4 teaspoon, mix it all together, and then taste it and see if you need any more seasoning. Then you can always add more. So we've got the butter, it's starting to melt in there already. I'm going to add my lactose-free 2% milk. Again, I eyeball it, I never measure, because I can always add more if I need to. So I'm guessing it's probably 1/3 cup that I have in here right now. And so hopefully this will reach over here. So I'm just going to take my hand mixer and I'm just going to smash the potatoes a little bit. And I apologize, it's going to get loud with this when I turn it on. But try and mash it as much as you can before you turn it on. And there goes my light. Cullen. Sit still, please. Okay, so here we go. Start on low because you got all that liquid in there. You don't want the liquid to be flying over top of you and splattering you. And it can get hot, especially with the hot potatoes. So we're going to start working it. Get the butter and milk incorporated, all the seasonings incorporated. Okay, so these mashed up pretty nicely. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off for now.
Oh.
Remember, we sit in a chair. No, don't be going across. Don't be going across. No. Cullen, you're going to knock the camera over. Excuse me while I deal with this.
Then I will move it and then cross it.
Okay. Now I'm adding a little bit of sharp cheddar. I use the fine cut because it melts easier. probably about half a cup because I want to save whatever's left in the bag for sprinkling on top of the mashed potatoes. Okay, here we go. And it's okay if the cheese doesn't melt right away, because it'll melt once we put it in the oven. Okay, that is pretty well incorporated. Get that mashed potatoes off. And my son is testing my patience right now.
Well, I'm getting down.
It's never a dull moment in this house. All right, so now that we've got the mashed potatoes done, I'm going to set this aside. It's a little hot, so please be careful if you're having to move it. Let me clean up my space.
Mommy, this is like powder.
Yes, yes it is. Why don't you go draw on the chalkboard over here, okay?
Yeah. The top.
Coffee is needed at this point. Okay, so I'm gonna bring my other trivet over. I'm gonna hop off here and I'm gonna grab my pan from the oven. Okay, so I've got just a little bit over a pound of ground beef in here. So it's all fully cooked, it's ground up. I put a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and again, some more of the Italian seasoning in here once it was cooking, just to give it some flavor. All right, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna add a small can of carrots. These came sliced. They were supposed to be diced carrots. I could not find diced carrots for the life of me. I have been having a hard time finding diced carrots, so I just got a small can of sliced and just diced them by hand and put them back in the can here. So we're gonna dump the entire can of diced carrots. I have a 15-ounce can of sweet corn. I may not end up adding all of it because you don't want to take away from the ground beef. So I'm gonna add maybe 3/4 of the can. I might save the rest for the kids for dinner tonight. And the same thing with the sweet peas, drained, and I'll be adding probably 3/4 of the can. Now you can also add French cut green beans if you prefer to have green beans in here. Typically you have just a hodgepodge of everything, even diced onion, but since the person or the family who I'm cooking this for, the husband doesn't like onions, so we're omitting the onions. I did add a little bit of my garlic infused olive oil when cooking the ground beef, so that way it gets a little bit of the garlic flavoring in there.
I made it again.
Good job, buddy. So one thing that I forgot to add in here was some Worcestershire. So let me grab some Worcestershire. Here we go. Got my big bottle of Worcestershire. Yes, buddy. So again, I eyeball it. You don't want to add too much to this since you already have some salt in there, and Worcestershire can be a little on the salty side. Same thing with like teriyaki and soy. So again, just eyeball it. Okay. And now I'm going to carefully mix this. I'm going to mix it all together, get it well incorporated, get all the seasonings mixed together. And I forgot to turn off my stovetop. Oops, I'll do that shortly. All right, so once it's all incorporated, it is going to look kind of like this. Again, just a hodgepodge of meat and vegetables. If you want to add anything else to this for flavoring, feel free to do so, but I'm going to keep it simple for this family. Now I'm going to dump the meat and vegetables into this foil pan. My family loves shepherd's pie, so every time I get to make it, there's hardly any leftovers, which is awesome because my family always has leftovers because the kids don't eat anything. So this will be perfect for them. All right, set this back over to the stove.
Do the stove.
To the stove. All right, here we go. And I don't know why I did that. Let me get my spoon back. Okay, so now we're gonna take the mashed potatoes. We're gonna scoop them up onto the meat and vegetables. And I like to spread the dollops in different places. And that way it'll be a little bit easier when trying to spread it. So this is a good fall and winter comfort food dish. There we go. I want to get every last bit out. Okay, now we're just going to take the back of the spoon and we're going to spread it evenly over the meat and vegetables. I probably should have added at least another potato or two to this because of the size of the pan, but
Mommy, look, I'm making my skeleton gun.
but that's here nor there. So I have the mashed potatoes spread over top of the guts, and now I'm going to take a little bit of my shredded Parmesan cheese just to give it a little bit of bite. I'm just going to lightly sprinkle over the mashed potatoes because you don't want it to be too much of a bite. And now I'm going to take some of the rest of the sharp cheddar cheese that I have here, and I am going to be pretty generous with the cheese and sprinkling it on top. I'm going to probably end up using the rest of the cheese that's in here, which is okay. Speaking of cheese, that reminds me that I forgot to get extra cheese for the tacos for dinner tonight. Mom fail, right? That's okay. It's so early in the day. Okay, so now that we have the cheese sprinkled on top, I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees and bake it for about, probably about 10-15 minutes. It doesn't take long at all since it's already hot. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the oven. The oven is not on right now because once it gets closer to the time that I need to deliver this, I'm going to turn the oven on real quick, cook it, and that way it'll be nice and warm for the family. So that's it. That is how quick and simple a shepherd's pie can be. It is just meat, vegetables, mixed with salt, pepper, Italian seasoning, Worcestershire, mixed all together, and then just mashed potatoes with a little bit of butter, milk, cheese, salt, pepper, and again more Italian seasoning. Spread it on top, sprinkle some cheese on top, pop it in the oven for about 10-15 minutes, and it's good to go. You can even make this the night before as a meal prep and put it in the freezer or the refrigerator, and then if you're too busy to make it, ask your partner to pull it out of the fridge, pop it in the oven at the temperature and for a certain amount of time. If it's cold, I would probably do it for maybe like 30 minutes instead of the 15. But if it's already like room temp, warm, then I would definitely do about 15 minutes. And that's it. Alright, so So y'all have a wonderful day, and the next time I see y'all, it'll be almost Thanksgiving time, and then we'll be working with desserts for Thanksgiving. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye.